Welcome to the Check Screen Podcast, Justin. And of course, the star of the show, the brains. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You're in and out.
I'm sorry. There we go. All right, let's start that over. I did it again. Oops, I did it again. Here we go. All right. Welcome to the Check Screen Podcast with myself. Of course, the star of the show, the brain, the beauty, the brawn of the show. My man, Coach Santa, is in the building, soon to be. Soon, in a couple years, right? You'll be Doctor.
That's the hope.
No, that's the reality.
Lord. No pressure.
You're going to make that happen. But welcome to the show. We have a special show on tonight for you all, for everyone that loves the Check Swing podcast. We have a special guest with us tonight. She is not a stranger to the show. She's been on the show before, so you already know she's good people. We got Coach V to talk about some things that have been going on, many major cities and even not so major cities around the country. But we're going to get to some conversation with Coach V as we continue our coaches conversation series. And of course, if you are with us right now, make sure you tell your friends, your neighbors, and your family, and as well as your enemies, to come check us out right now. Share the link and join us on the show. But before we get into it, I gotta ask my man, Coach Santa, how have you been, brother? You know I like that. I gotta ask you how you been. I need to know how you been.
Been well, sir. Been well, sir. Trying to figure out what season it is today. Hopefully that it'll get back to spring at some point in the next couple weeks. But I was enjoying the 80-degree weather last week and only for it to be disappointed by the 50, well, this morning, 29-degree weather. So
Yeah, today was cold. today today was cold, and I wasn't expecting it to be as cold as like it was. I think it was like 40 something degrees today, which is cold, but it's not frigid, right?
listen, I'm a tropical people. Anything below 70 is winter.
Okay, I'm almost with you on that. But for me, and I've always said it was the wind. Oh my goodness, the
Yeah.
wind was the problem. I can deal with the cold, but the wind I can't deal with. And you saw me when the wind is blowing. You saw what I was about. Baseball practice, bundled up, hoodie, three pairs of Under Armour, heat, cool, whatever it is. It was me.
You
Face mask,
you were
all
you
that.
you you were the only grown man I've ever seen in practice dressed up like a 2-year-old toddler.
Yeah, well, I was warm. Actually, I probably still wasn't warm, but it is what it is. But I'm glad you're doing well. Like I said, we have a special guest on today, and I want to get her on right now without further ado because she deserves all the time because she does such great things and has so many gems to drop on us. And even like before the show, she mentioned something to me. She was like, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. Maybe that should happen." So always dropping gems on you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about in the building, y'all. Coach V is back with us. You've seen her on sidelines up and down the East Coast. You've seen her on the news. You've seen
Wa-
her.
Wasn't she in the Super Bowl?
I
She
was at a Super Bowl.
She was at a Super Bowl.
was at the Super Bowl. She
Well,
was
not the last one, but a Super Bowl.
Right when she was on the show, she had got free tickets because she's just that damn good.
Coach
Thank
V.
you.
Welcome back to the show. It is a pleasure to have you on with us once
Welcome
again. We
back.
appreciate you joining us, and we appreciate all that you do. Excuse me. We first of all introduce yourself to the people because I'm not going to do it justice, and I want you to introduce your organization to the people. Remind the Check Swing family what your organization is about, and some of the I see a lot of the things that you do right there, like front and center. But I want the people that may not be as familiar with your organization. Let them know who you are and what you do.
All righty. Hello, everybody. Coach V or Valencia Peterson. I am the founder and the executive director of Open Door Abuse Awareness Prevention. We are a trauma-informed violence prevention organization. I don't like the word program because that's not really how we roll. It's more like we do life with the people we work with. But we use the medium of sports for violence prevention. And we also have a girls group called Intentionally Caring and United, where I work with about 70 girls doing all kinds of great things at the Penwood High School. And we are diving into some other things that I'll be talking about here. But I'm really glad to be here today and just talk about some things I think that everyone would enjoy hearing. Actually, we need to make progress. We need to make progress.
Absolutely. And Miguel. I know you know Miguel already.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Same.
So, Coach V, I kind of want to get right into the thick of it.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke I think it was a couple weeks ago. We were speaking about some incidents that happened here in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
City of Philadelphia, some gun violence with some of our city's youth. And you wanted to address the gun violence. You had some thoughts about those incidents. And I just want to pick my feet up and give you the floor. And I'm going to hear your thoughts, and I want you to share your thoughts with our audience.
Well, first of all, to all those young people who, especially to Damien at Emiltep and the Up and Up family, my heart goes out to them. They're one of the teams that I work with. So that's very close, near and dear to my heart, the loss there and the people there, their family. And it was tragic to hear. And then right on the cups of it again, to hear about Northeast. And it just puts such an urgency inside of me with the work that I do to, to do more and to connect with our young people even sooner. When it comes to the retaliation piece, I know I walked around thinking, oh boy, I hope this doesn't turn into not even tit for tat. That's putting it lightly. You know what I mean? But I'm hoping that there can be some real mediation going on in the streets of Philadelphia. But I will say, and we have some great organizations right now in Philadelphia. Ordinary Heroes, No More with Rick. I mean, there's a lot of great organizations in Philadelphia like pulling together to try to nip these things in the bud. And I think that there's a lot of young people in Philadelphia that just really don't even want to be involved in this stuff. They are looking for outlets. And I think the most important thing for us to do right now is to continue to expose our young people to the different outlets that's in the city. Level Up Philly, Pastor Aaron Campbell doing great things with young people. And I think the big thing here, and it's already happening, is that the communities, organizations like myself, ODAP and One Day at a Time, all these different organizations coming together to be on one page in solidarity to giving these young people a well-deserved outlet that they need. But my heart goes out to the young people who were hurt, to the people who are experiencing harm of it, like just experiencing it. That's something that I hope to be able to help young people through that are in my vicinity, Yeah.
Excuse me. Absolutely. If you're just joining us, we're talking with Coach V. She has been on the show with us once before, and this is her second time. Actually, she's the second two-time appearance. I think the first one, who Coach V is, I believe, is also familiar with Coach Monique Boykins.
Yes.
We got to get them jackets for the most appearances.
I'll let you work on that one, Miguel. I don't think I don't think I'm able to make that happen right now. No. So I want you to go into the mind, Coach V, if you can. Go into the mind of the youth that are the ones that are pulling the triggers in these situations. because you work with many youth, and I know that you talk to the youth, and they talk to you, and you a lot of times they'll speak to you about things that they may not speak to anybody else uh,
Yeah, yeah.
about things, how they're feeling about things going on around them in their lives and stuff like that. What do you think is going on in the minds of the youth that are doing these things, and how do we how do we tap into them and try to help to turn them around? Like how can a person like myself or Coach Sander, how can we help them?
Okay, just a disclaimer, I'm not an expert on this, but I will say this. When I talk to my young men about this, it's it's all having to do with, and I know this may sound cliche, y'all, but it has a lot to do with peer pressure, and wanting to be a part of something. Even if it's just a gang, not just, but if it's a gang, it's all about wanting to find a place to belong and be a part of something. I mean, we're all looking for some sort of acceptance and love. And that's why I believe that sports is a beautiful platform for violence prevention, because it provides that community, that sense of belonging that everybody needs, to be honest with you. But when I talk to my young men directly about this, like, why would a person even bother to do this? You know, it still comes down to that age old peer pressure, right? Wanting to belong. I even heard at one point, we have gang initiations like this. Like, really? That's still a wanting to belong. And as twisted as it is, that's how deep this thing runs, right? As far as this whole belonging thing. And again, I liken it back to, again, I'm a trauma person. So I liken to what happened to that kid, right? To make him think this is a viable, outlet for him. Somewhere along the line, something's happened and he's missing something, or she's missing something that she wasn't provided for. I mean, again, in my life, and because I've been on here before and many people have heard my story, I having my mother pass away because my father murdered her. I still don't think he woke up that morning with the intention of doing that. And I don't think half these kids are planning. In some cases, they are due to the peer pressure, right? Because this is what you need to do to initiate, some things. But most of all, but from the very beginning, this is not what they set out to do. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that. And I think peer pressure, I wish it was something, grand, but it really isn't. It's a sense of belonging that we all need. And they go for it in some way, in ways they can get it. And it's not, to say the least, not healthy, but that's a lot of what I'm seeing. I mean, when a young man explains it to me like that, I'm like, what? But that's literally what he said to me. So I have to believe what he says. It's about being accepted. It's about belonging, a part of something.
Absolutely. Miguel, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I was. It's funny. So I'd say the last 6 or 7 months, I started, taking public transportation to work. Thinking, oh, it's free, it's provided by my job, and things like that. And it seems like maybe twice a week, there's always an argument,
Mm.
and it's usually over nothing, but it's always about respect or you know, feeling disrespected. And I was watching a show that had Van Jones on, who's a CNN correspondent, and he was talking about how a lot of it stems from the back and forth on social media, and also from COVID. So now we have like the COVID kids that are like, they were home for 2 years, and they were told they can do whatever they want, and they can, they don't have to let anything or anyone stand in their way. Have you come across any athletes or students where they're like, well, they just feel like mentally they're above everybody and everything, and anybody else that comes in their way, they just feel like they just become angry and discontented or anything like that?
No, I mean, Most of the young people that I'm working, COVID was a stunt, a time where their growth and their emotional maturity was stunted.
Yeah.
When they went back to school, they sat in the back of the classroom full of people
Mhm.
absorbed in themselves and their phone. It was still like they were still home.
Right.
So that assimilation of being social was very difficult for them. I don't know about above, but just isolated in their own little bubble. It took time for them to assimilate, to be together in a classroom. That was very difficult for them. Did you know that? Sitting in the classroom felt weird to them.
Mm-hmm.
Gone that much. They didn't know how to deal with that, truly.
Know that.
Yeah, there was this one young lady, and I haven't seen her in a couple of weeks, but she would sit down, same seat, put her book back down, and anybody that was like, "May I sit down?" would not respond. And to the point where another lady who was older, but obviously maybe on the same maturity level as this student, sat on her book bag. And I'm like, number one, why does this always happen in front of me?
Yes.
In front of my seat.
God.
But it was like all of this could have been avoided by just doing one simple thing. But it's like there's like this positioning of everybody like, no, this is mine. No, this is mine. And then that's where the conflict, and then it just blows up into something that just over nothing.
This is my space.
Right.
Used to my space. Oh, yeah, people, this is my space. Not a public train, right? It's my space. Right?
I didn't even think about like me personally, because when we went into the pandemic, I was in the office and then I was working from home for like 2 years. And then and I think about how I left that job and I took a job I took a job at QVC. So many people there. Like that's not a work. There are some positions that can work from home, but that's not a work from home place. That's a TV station. You gotta, you're ripping and running. And I think, and just because you said, I was thinking about like I would find myself by myself a lot, like purposely. Like I would go places and just be to myself. And I never even thought about like how during the pandemic you were by yourself a lot. Even though I was still coaching baseball through that whole time, but I would go home and that's where I would be. Baseball was my out. If I wasn't out there, I was home. So why I can't imagine the effect that had on a teenager, somebody single age kid, that has never had to go, like we as adults never had to go through that in our lifetime. So we were trying to figure it out just like they had to try to figure out.
Listen, for us introverts, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't mind not being around people. you know, I mean, we figured out ways that like all the stuff that we said we can do from home. Hey, we can do from home. But yeah, putting myself into like instead of this 44-year-old mind into like if I went back, man, if this happened when I was 14 years old, I think I would have gone absolutely nuts.
Yeah, we're not meant to be isolated creatures.
Yeah.
We're meant to live in community.
Yeah.
Again, that's why sports is such a beautiful platform.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Absolutely. Such a beautiful platform, and I just want to shift gears a little bit because I want to give a shout out to Penwood High School and the Penwood High School flag football.
Woo, we won.
Played their very first official game today in
Flag
the
football
today, and at the brand new at the renovated Rap Curry Athletic. I'm messing it up right now. No, Rap Curry Athletic Complex, Kerr Field. There we go. Get it right. And it was fun. It was a fun time. It was a fun game to watch. Both teams, they competed well. Unfortunately, I leave at halftime to make sure I got everything together because I saw Coach B there and she was like, "Yeah,
we won.
You're going to have the link at 6 o'clock." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to get out of here because there's no way I'm gonna get home by 6 o'clock." So I had to get out of there. And Coach B told me we won, right?
We won.
We won. How close was it? Was it a close game?
15-12.
15-12. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, game.
How do they? I mean, I guess they don't kick extra points or anything, but
Oh no, they do go for that extra point, you know.
so it's a touchdown to 6 points, and then they go for the extra point.
Yeah, they go for the
Gotcha,
extra point.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they do punt.
Yes, they do punt.
Really?
Do punt. Yes, they do punt.
You can kick or play on 4th down. And I was
Yeah.
looking away and I didn't know what was going on. All I heard, doof. What was that? Oh, they punted the ball. Okay. That was cool. All right. I kind of like this. And as we know, and maybe some people don't know, in the 2028 Olympics, flag football is going to be an Olympic sport.
Totally. And you get lots of scholarships for flag football right now.
Yeah,
It's all the rave.
absolutely. So, shout out to everybody that was able to make that happen. And I can't wait to see the next game, to be honest with you.
Hey, Justin, you know what that means, right?
What?
We got to get in shape. We got something to play for.
No.
Dude, come on.
No.
I'll be the fullback. You be the lead fullback. We just stand there and just like block.
I don't know that if I ever play a sport again, if I will even try to make a cut move, because I've seen too many knees fall apart, and they have millions. I don't. I still got to go to work somehow, some way. I don't have a team that can work on me all the time and make sure I'm okay. I can't do that. I can't do that. Excuse me, my throat keeps getting dry. Last 2 weeks, my throat's been getting real dry. Coach B, you are associated with another group, and I believe I don't remember if you mentioned it the last time you were on. However, since the last time you were on, I've seen so much of this group because when you work with the guys, the football teams, that what is that organization? What is that called?
It's Beyond the Game. It's also ODAP. Beyond
ODAP.
the Game is ODAP. Yeah.
Now, I also see now the ICU.
Right. So ODAP has 3 programs that we run. It's Beyond the Game. That's with all our athletes. There's Boys Made Men, and that's something that's kind of like when sports is over, the guys can stay together and still work together on things. And then there's ICU, Intentionally Caring and United. And that those 3 groups are primarily the programs that are running in ODAP right now. Now, ICU just kicked off a tour in the William Penn School District, which I'm extremely proud of. It's called Embracing Yourself. So what we're doing is my ICU girls are going around to the elementary schools in the district of William Penn and talking to girls about what it looks like in an elementary school to embrace yourself. And we're asking them just 4 questions. One question is, about bullying. How is that in their school? We're asking them, what do you wish your parents knew about you right now? Which was very powerful. And then we're asking them about what are their secret fears about going to middle school, right? And we're talking to them about what does it look like to accept themselves. And it's based on Maya Angelou's quote, "You teach people how to treat you." And so we're making sure that these 6th graders or these elementary school girls who are about to go into middle school, number one, know that ICU exists for them in the high school, that they have something to look forward to. Number 2, that we're helping to instill confidence in them about themselves so that they have respectful boundaries and they get to stay away from unhealthy relationships and just things that aren't good for them. So we feel like if we teach them, to have respect and love for themselves, that they'll make better decisions as far as who they let in their space. So it was really amazing. Our first tour, we kicked off our first tour at Walnut Elementary yesterday, and it was great. The girls were receptive. Time seemed to go way too fast, but my girls really did a great job. Coda and Tiffany, they did a great job. So I was really proud of them.
Tiffany is I know Tiffany. Tiffany was the manager on the baseball team. I want to say the last 2 seasons.
Oh, really?
manager on the baseball team.
Oh, she did say that to the girls. I think she did say that. Yes, she did say that because they introduced themselves and talked about the things they're interested in. So it was really cool to see that peer-to-peer mentorship, and that they have something to look forward to,
Yeah, because and I'm thinking about where something like that wasn't in place when I was when I was that age, when I was coming up, but like we had, I know guys, and I don't know how it works for girls, to be honest with you, but I know for guys, we always tend to, and when I say in the streets, I don't mean the streets like bad streets, good. I'm just people that are in your neighborhood.
Right.
You look to the streets for the old head guidance. You know what I mean? And I'm not calling,
Yes. I know what you mean. It's peer to peer.
To the youngins.
Peer to
right?
peer. Yeah.
We didn't have that. We just looked to the streets for guidance. Now, girls, now at that age, where are they looking?
Right. Well, every social media, it's ridiculous. The thing that stuck out to my girls when we debriefed today was that the cyberbullying was a huge deal for the girls, the elementary school girls. That they talked about the cyberbullying is off the scale. We were really shocked to hear some of the things they were saying about it.
So you mean like in the elementary schools?
Yeah, it's really an issue.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I can kind of piggyback up because when I was in the position that he's actually working in the exact same position I did for 16 years, but and he's getting rewarded for it. But I'm not bitter. But we used to monitor students in our cyber program, and I forget the program that we used, but it was something linked to Google Chrome. But we would get like hits, like this student is using abusive language. And a lot of it was just geared towards like, kind of like that whole peer pressure thing. Well, you're ugly and I'm not, and
yes,
even though they project a lot. Like I hate myself, but I'm mad at the fact that I hate myself, so I'm going to project onto you. So I want you to go, somewhere, and I'll tell you how to get there. So
to have company.
Say that again.
Misery.
And I want my misery to have company.
Right.
And interestingly enough, here's another thing we saw. We saw that the girls themselves didn't have beef between each other.
Mm-hmm.
They were okay. It was the boys bullying the girls.
Really?
Again, I thought that was interesting. These were some of our observations that we thought was interesting. Yeah. Yeah. It was the boys really, like you said, just taunting and making them feel less than. That's what the overwhelming consensus. Interesting, right?
And again, to piggyback over that, one of the things that we saw in a lot of the searches. So we know what boys 13 through 16 search for on the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we found was it was actually a lot of the girls searching for that stuff, like searching for ways, for lack of a better phrase, to please men.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to figure out how to.
Elementary?
So this was like, it was kind of like the middle school, like right before like 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and by 10th grade, it was either they went one way or the other. So it was like right around that sweet spot age, because that's when the hormones are raging, the children are, discovering themselves, and the boys they still smell, but they're starting to smell less. But that's what we found a lot of searches where like some of the females were looking, but it wasn't like it was like, what is this, or why do men like this? And then they would kind of go down that rabbit hole. So in the taunting, it was kind of converting into, okay, well, let me see what I can do to get the taunting to stop. So let me see if I can please you know what I mean? So it was like that weird cycle that I was like, this is way too young for this to be happening. They are way too young for them to be doing this type of research, but that's what we found. It was amazing.
Now, interestingly enough, when we ask questions like, what do you wish your parents knew about you? I think that, what we ascertained from all of that is that they use mental health as you know, a basic, like that. I wish they would see me and what I'm
Mm.
going through, you know, things like that. And then in my experience working in ICU in particular, I found that there are some basic things that girls just don't know. And they, you know, for lack of a better word, you know, they're having to look up for themselves because their parents is not talking to them about it. Okay. So they have to look up for themselves, you know, and that's just the way it is. And I think that, you know, one of the girls said, yeah, you know, one of the young girls says this, we're a different generation. We're different than how you were raised. And I think we as parents sometimes have a hard time wrapping our mind around that, you know? So we tend to, we can miss our kids. Kids can be missed. So I'm finding I never assume that they know anything, you know, as far as what I might be telling them. They may have heard it for the first time because I'm going everywhere, anywhere for the most part. That's decent. Talking to my girls, you know, whether it's feminine hygiene or whatever it is, I'm going to talk about things I feel like they need to know to take care of themselves. And so there's some things that, that we take for granted that they might know, but they don't. They just don't. And so they would search. They have to educate themselves. And that's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and they're just like anybody else. You want to know how to do something, how to work something. What do you do? Go to
You look it up.
YouTube. Go to Google. I mean, your tutor's name is Google. Your college's name YouTube. Teach you everything.
That's right. YouTube University.
Yep.
That's why it's so important to insert healthy things with our young people. Have healthy relationships with them. See them. See them.
I wanna go to a video, Coach B, because I want to talk about some coaches.
Coaches.
I want to talk.
I love my coaches.
So this is a video that we had on the show last week, and it's a college baseball game, and I'll just pop the video in, and we can explain it. Here we go. So as you can see right there, the kid,
Don't read lips.
the player is coming off the field. Okay, I don't know if he's being substituted out or did they get the third out. We don't know. Okay, but he looks like he's not animated to me, but he's yelling into the dugout, he's saying something into the dugout, and the coach comes over and grabs him by the chest, grabs him by the shirt, and then another coach comes over, does the same thing. Now, when we spoke about this earlier, it was very mild compared to some of the things that you've seen.
Oh yeah, that's mild mannered stuff right there.
She's like, that's nothing.
That's nothing. You know. Oh my gosh.
I don't even want to go and say what would you have done. You can talk about what would you have done in that situation, or what would you say to said people in video in when you respond. But I brought that video up because sometimes coaches need training.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're just getting a coach that just they know how to play football, play baseball, play basketball, and because they know how to play, okay, you should be able to coach. Not all good players make coaches, let's just say that. But coaching is more than the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, I'm going to give you the floor because you have some very good ideas about coaches receiving training. So I'm going to let you speak.
I'll tell anybody, and I'll start this conversation just like this. Coaches are frontliners. If there weren't coaches, I believe that the floods of violence would have been flooded all over Philadelphia and many other places. Coaches have one coach might have 60 kids underneath him that for some time and space, they're out of trouble because they're with him. That man is leaving his family, going to coach these kids, And so I am an avid supporter of coaches, and I have nothing but good things to say about them overall. I will say that. But there are some coaches that are not trained, and they do more damage than good. And I think that I think that has a lot to do with them lacking the training and the support, lacking training and support. The city of Philadelphia is in the process of building these new fields. And I just wrote an article saying, I think that's great, but if you're going to put the same untrained coaches on the field, then your good fields still don't do really what you want them to do, which was give a kid a safe space, right? To be able to, have fun and have a safe space. I think coaches really, there's a lot of different things that play into who a coach is. Now, with Beyond the Game, which includes our coaches, I've worked with a lot of coaches that will tell you, if you ever got them on your podcast, they would tell you that they've learned a lot just being a part of ODAP, and that some of them really coach differently than they started off coaching because they're in ODAP, because we're getting them to look at who they're coaching, not how they're coaching. Because you can't coach every kid the same. Neither should you be trying to relive your glory days. And really, you're screaming at yourself that you didn't make it, but the kid happens to be the recipient of that, right? So I put a lot of emphasis on coaches knowing themselves for real. And right now, I'm in the process of doing a pilot project where I'm going to be having coaches from different leagues sign up to be a part of ODAP, right? And have trauma informed coaching training. And we're going to give the coaches that we choose a stipend, because let's just talk about the fact that coaches aren't really paid. Okay. They don't make hardly any money doing what they're doing, and they putting in all kinds of times. But we're arranging something where coaches can get trauma training for the duration of the season so that they can help their team do better with the kids that they're serving. Because I hate to see men coming on the field, and any coach trying to unconsciously or consciously using the field for their anger management. There, I got it out. And your child is the one that gets it, No.
Do you see that? I'm going to go ahead and stereotype it. Do you see that more so in football than any other sport?
Yes. But, and I have to say, Little League is the most kind of unruly, unaccountable space. I mean, at least in high school, you got your athletic director, you got some people over you watching you. But in Little League, we're in danger of having little gangs led by coaches. You know what I'm saying? Little gangs led by coaches.
Right.
What's up with that? I heard this. I heard about this, and I didn't witness it, but I heard about this. 2 Little League teams playing each other. One loses, and the coach goes over there and stumps on the trophy, and the kids come behind him and stump on the trophy too, of the other team that won. Like what?
Yeah, that
by example, wouldn't you say? Like that's crazy.
I saw a video of something like that recently.
Yeah, it's like, where's the accountability in that? Now, as a high school football coach or a college coach, if you did something like that, you'd be like either suspended, you'd be out.
Yeah.
Because we want warm, fuzzy bodies, right? We need bodies. Sometimes anybody can join a team like that. Oh, yeah, man, you want to coach with us? Go ahead, coach with us. Where's your clearances? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Because it's too loose. It's too loose. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. And I think there's people that really try to, do it right. But when it's all said and done, there's no accountability. Not the way it could be. And I'm trying to change that, to believe it or not. I'm trying to make it so that that's curbed. I'm trying to work on that for ODAP. So
with the a coach comes, I'm a coach, Miguel's a coach. A coach comes to you, they want to, I guess we call it seminars, classes.
Yeah.
What will we be learning? What will we be receiving?
The first thing you're going to do is sign a contract. That's the first thing you do. You're going to sign a contract with ODAP. Okay. Because I need to know that you're bought in. As a Black woman coaching football, you can imagine I've run up against a lot of men that really don't want to hear it. Slash, they're used to doing things their way, and it's their way or the highway, right? And if they've been in, if they've had nagging relationships, they right away look at me and say, "Oh, another woman, another woman." So I have to know when I'm bringing a coach in ODAP that he's really willing to buy into me and my program, right? And so if a coach invites ODAP to be a part of their program, you better believe I'm observing a lot before he even can sign a contract. And if I don't see what I believe to be the ingredients of somebody willing to buy into what I know you probably get from us, then I don't bother. I don't bother. So what you're going to get, first of all, is a contract. Hello. With spelled out things as far as how I expect you to participate. And one of them is being open to new things and being teachable yourself. Because who doesn't continue to learn until we die, right? You don't know everything. So you have to be willing to receive instruction. The other thing is you're going to learn about trauma and who it is that you're coaching. You're going to learn about the brain state of the kid you're coaching, just where they may be. And you're going to be putting all those things together. And from that trauma lens, right, learning how to handle children in a coaching environment, and you're going to get support. You're going to get support. We're going to try to support your program financially and otherwise. We're going to try to support you. So we put a lot of effort into this, honestly, with the coaches we work with. And I think at the end of the day, the coaches that I have worked with will tell you it was well worth it, even when they heard things they didn't want to hear.
How have you been? Not been. When you first started this journey, coaching, how were you received by them?
Skeptical, side-eyed. When I did my first training and I talked about abuse and violence, one coach said, if what you're saying is true, I'm an abuser. And instead of having an epiphany, he stopped coaching. He left the team. He left our team.
Wow.
He left our team. He did not coach with us. He left. And see, that's the thing. That's the thing. If I'm in a coaching space and I say something that makes somebody uncomfortable, which it is what it is, either they're going to say, okay, I can deal with that, or they're going to step. They're going to step. So I've seen that. Or if a coach is doing something that I deem to be inappropriate, and later I talk to that coach, like, Coach, do you think that, and I'm talking to him about it. He may not want to receive it. And I've had plenty of that. I've also had it where a coach, as a head coach, would sign a contract, buy in, but his assistant coaches don't like being checked. They don't like being checked, and I'm not walking around like, but there are some things that don't need to happen. They really don't. Like the grabbing the kid, like that don't really need to happen, especially if he's 6. You know what I mean?
What about if they're 11?
No.
So to put that in context, because when we showed the video last,
hands to yourself. I'm just saying, really, there's something that just don't need to happen.
Coach Miguel has a very interesting story for you, Coach B.
Well, no, because something like that, something like this situation happened to me. Oh, yeah. And I was coaching it. I said this after the fact, but I was coaching an 11U team, and we were playing at Ripken up here in Aberdeen, Maryland. So we were playing. They have like replica ballparks. They have like a Camden Yards, and then like a Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park. So we had this one kid. Long story short, there was a play to first base, and he didn't cover the bag like he was supposed to. And I knew the kid had anger issues, but this was the first time that like it kind of came to a head. So he turned around and held the ball, and I said, "Throw the ball," and he just wouldn't do it. And then 2-run score. So he's coming back to the pitcher's mound. He's like, "You don't know what you're talking about." So I'm like, "Excuse me," So I call time. I call time. So I said, "What did you say?" And he said, "You don't know what you're talking about." Da, 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 da. So I said, I didn't grab him. I swear, I did not touch him. Okay, but shut up, Justin. But I went up to him and I said, "Don't you ever?" You know how you like? My mom used to do that to me.
Yeah, I mean
You
it.
talk, you talk, right?
Mm.
And his reaction, I wasn't prepared for. I was expecting like tit for tat, whatever. He was like, "Ah," and he started bawling. He started bawling. I looked around and I'm like, I didn't know whether to continue being mad. I didn't know where to hold him. Like I didn't know what to do. But obviously, he wasn't in the right mental capacity. So I had to take him out of the game, whatever. But long story short, after that, to his credit, okay, he did apologize the next day. And he did like apologize in front of the team, and his parents apologized on their behalf to the point where like I think 2 days later he pitched again, and he was kind of we were kind of talking about what we do in those situations. So I was like, listen, if you start getting amped up, start breathing, because when you don't breathe, you get tight, and then everything just becomes like you're physically fighting against yourself. So I see him on the mound, and he's like,
Good.
I was like, right.
Good.
So then his dad, who's like the vocal guy, said, "Come on, man, you got this." And he called time. He looked at his dad and he's like, "Dad, shut up. Only my coach can talk to me." I was like, yeah. I didn't know what to say. You know what I mean?
Interesting, though. Isn't that interesting? You said it. Behind every behavior, there is a cause.
Yeah.
You said it. Now, one of the things I tell my coaches, before you do anything with the team, I think that, normally as a coach, what you do is all the kids come in and they start warming up, right?
Mhm.
That's your normal mode of operation.
Right.
I tell my coaches, don't start like that. I tell my coaches that what they should do is they should have a check-in first. A team check-in. In other words, every time you get together with your boys or whoever you're coaching, you should have a check-in first, which really just means, thumbs up, thumbs down. How is everybody here? I love this verse that says, "Know well the condition of your flock." I love that. It's one of those things where for 15 seconds, you can look out on your team and see who's here and who's there, right? Number one, what does that do? It tells you that if somebody's acting a little off in the game, well, you got a heads up. So you could do one or two things. You can say, "Hey, for all of you, you're not shaming anybody. For all of you who have a thumbs down, see me after practice." Or you can make a mental note, and while you're practicing, you can go alongside that kid and go, "Hey, what's going on?" Just as you're interacting. But what does this accomplish? First of all, they've been seen.
Yeah.
Not everybody is the same, right? It's important for kids to be seen. So doing that check-in, just that check-in is enough to be, to know what's going on. And so if Tommy has a bad game, he already told you he was like this.
Right.
That is, something happened before he got to you that has him in a funk. Now, you said that little boy, his father was screaming at him about the game. Who knows what's going on at home and the pressures that are on him to perform. He could have froze, fright, flight, freeze. He's in this position where he's under pressure right now. He may have had his dad's voice in his head.
Yeah.
You're going to fail. You don't know what caused a kid to do what he does. So instead of asking what's wrong with you, what happened? If you walked up to him and say, "What happened?" Right? What happened? Now he's a little freer to talk to you as opposed to, "What's wrong with you?" Do you understand what I'm saying? You see how I'm saying this? Something always causes a behavior. You don't know what's going on with him and his dad. Already his dad's yelling at him and you the coach. So that should tell you something. That should tell you something.
Yeah. So like Justin said last week, violence is not the answer.
I'm not even saying violence is not the
What?
answer. Of course, it's not. But you know what
What
I'm saying
about
is
good
look
shake?
differently. Look differently.
Yes, I got you.
Put on some trauma flexibles. You know,
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
just a
That's
good,
all I'm
not a good like a good
saying. Yeah,
shake.
I think coaches would do well to learn who they're coaching and not just how to coach or what
Yeah.
they're coaching them. You need to know who you're coaching. And the truth is, as a coach, you can't handle everybody. So getting together and have the thumbs up, you get a
Mhm.
quick overview of
Yeah.
what you're working with.
I
And
like
hey, if most of your team is like this, you need to stop practice. It's
Right.
gonna be awful.
Right.
It's gonna be awful.
Right.
But you took 15 seconds to find out, and now you gotta go, okay, wait, hold up. Time out. You're more important than the game. What's wrong? What's happening?
Mhm. I
Something
got
as simple as that. That's what I
Now,
suggest.
we're talking with Coach V. Is it founder of ODAT? Is it
Yeah,
founder? Is the right term? Okay.
yeah.
Founder of ODAT. All around great person. I love when I see Coach V come into the building. I get happy. I feel like Coach V. Like you ever and I haven't known Coach V that long, right? But you ever you remember like when you were in like school, maybe your best friend in school was absent, and then maybe it's absent for a few days, and then when your best friend comes back, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's gonna be a good day. When I see she come in the building, and like even if she's not in a good mood, which is like rare, like all right, today's gonna be a good day. Like today's gonna be all right because Coach V is here. I
Yeah.
don't know why. I just like when I see Coach V because Coach V spreads so much positivity.
Mhm.
I appreciate you, Coach V, for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do. I really I care about my kids and I care about my coaches. I care about the people I work with. And I'm very tuned into, you know, what's going on around me with my kids. You know, I'm the type of person that if I go in, even if I'm doing a presentation to somebody in the room, if I feel like the room is, something's going on, I'll back up and do something different in a heartbeat because I really want to talk to people, not at them. You know what I mean? It's always
Yeah.
good to check in.
Yeah, and when me and Coach Justin used to coach together, we did a lot of talking. You know what I mean? And we found out a lot about our players, and I think to the point where I think we won't name names, but I know like one of our players who was he was gifted athlete, but it turned out he was working two jobs, trying to feed his family, and then we found out another set of brothers were homeless. You know what I mean? So it's like you
Very
know
often.
for
Very
the
often.
coaches that are listening out there, like X's and O's is part of it, but you know incorporating the athlete, like I tell my athletes that they're my sons, and I will actually tell my parents that for the 1 or 2 hours of practice, for the days that we have our tournaments out wherever we play, like I'm their dad for that
Mhm.
time period, and they're in good hands. We're going to talk about everything, but we're going to have fun. Winning, if that happens, great. And that's where I see what parents I really when I tell them that winning isn't like my number one priority is for this age group. That's so I can kind of see by the emails I get after that from because seriously, I'll get like 3-page emails. So Johnny, he's got an exit velo of like 94, and he's been practicing. Yeah, da, 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 da. And I want to text back so bad. I'm like, yeah, but he hates your stepmom. You know what I mean? Like these are the things that I like. I tell this one story to Justin because this was the first team I ever coached was a 9U team, and I had this one kid. He had an older brother. I coached both brothers, and I kept hitting the ball to him, kept going through, and every time the ball would go through him, he would throw his glove on the ground and just collapse. So this was like maybe 35 minutes. I call him in. I was like, hey, what's going on? He's like, straight face. He said, I hate baseball. I hate my dad, and I hate all of you. So I look at him and I said, okay, anything else? He's like, that's about it. I was like, okay. So I put my hand on his shoulder and I was like, listen, I know there's some issues there, but listen, my job is I'm going to try to make this as fun as possible for you. I don't care about you making errors. Just give the effort. And he was trying to get more mad, but he realized that he couldn't because it really wasn't no reason to get mad.
Mhm.
And he started to kind of get better over the course of the season. But it's like when I see that, I'm always compelled to think that it's so much more than just him. He's just not angry for no reason. And I think a lot of parents don't understand the why. They just know what is. They just don't know what the why is.
Well,
And they don't realize that they're the issue.
the pressure that they're putting on them.
Yeah.
Talk about parents trying to live through their kids, let alone coaches.
Right.
Like, the parent, I know that in the work that I'm about to take on with the Little League, I know I'm going to have to deal with the parents because they are crazy in the stands.
Can I make a serious recommendation? If you're gonna take on little leagues, I would strongly recommend either hiring an armed guard, somebody that is licensed to carry in multiple states, in all the states that you provide.
Did you hear this, man?
Justin, how far fetched am I?
Listen, I'll tell you what. I mean, Miguel is, he's exaggerating, but sometimes the parents, and I'm sure you already know. I mean, we saw a video just recently where former NFL quarterback Cam Newton was.
Oh, I saw that video.
Fighting like 3 people or some 2 people. Or
he took them on though. He took
at a youth football game. I think they were coaches. I don't remember what.
7-on-7, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I can remember some years back. I don't know how many years ago. I went to my nephew's football tournament. It was a national football tournament. It was like Little League. But what stood out to me was the parents.
I know.
Games were good. Like he was probably 8, maybe 9, 10, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Parents. First of all, a lot of them think they act like their child is going to the league straight from 10 years old.
But you know what that when we've coached our teams out of town or whatever, how like PBR, all those entities, they post like videos of student or athletes like going 2 for 3 in the game or pitching a shutout or whatever. I'm seeing videos from parents, little Billy, who's 7 years old, who's graduating in 2035, already has a 2-seam fastball. I'm like, 2035, he doesn't even know how to spell 20, and you're posting his little league video. It's crazy.
It
is.
I
comment on my my Instagram live. I pulled my kids from Little League because the parents and coaches had a fist fight at the game.
Oh, and that's what you see a lot of too. Across the state, across the United States,
mm-hmm.
Little League football is really getting like a stigma of just uncouth, weed smoking, parents screaming things. When in fact there are great things to Little League football, but it's starting to get a reputation, or has been getting a reputation that is like, it's just not cool. It's just not cool.
What doesn't help it is have a Netflix series about a Little League football team.
Yeah.
Snoop.
Snoop.
Hey, I'm
all right. So
about him. I'm just saying. You're talking about that.
Started a league. Like Snoop started the league. Now I didn't see this movie, but I heard that it's else. But he started a league, but he did something to get the kids off the street.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Coaches do things like get kids off the street, but then at the same time, we don't want coaches with little gangs attacking. I mean, this is not a game anymore. It's one gang of having a game. We don't want that. And I would love to work with Snoop and his people. Oh my gosh,
The weed would be fantastic.
Tell somebody.
I said the weed would be fantastic.
How
So if
about
you don't,
that?
so if you don't, all right. So if you don't get an armed guard,
An armed guard,
get
huh?
or are you get certified, bring your own piece.
Oh my gosh. Let me just end. I don't know end, but let me just say this. This past weekend, I was in Miami and I was invited to speak at a leaders meeting of Black gun clubs. Okay. There were leaders of gun clubs. One of them was Black Girl and Guns. We're not talking about Make America Great here. We're talking about Black people who had clubs and they were trying to connect with people who were doing violence prevention because they had tried to, offer gun safety to schools and come in and say, hey, listen, the stigma around Black people and guns, but that wasn't happening. They weren't getting much success with that. So they invited us to come in. They had us at the range. At the range, they did things like mental health and firearm. They had little workshops. Of course, they were on the range for a couple hours shooting. And then they would come in and have these workshops on mental health and, being responsible with your firearm and just, all this safety stuff with the firearms. Right. And here they thought to themselves, we want to bring these people in to see how we can bridge the gap here, And I was a little skeptical, right? What am I walking into?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a gun owner, and I have it because of what happened to my mom and my dad. Right.
Yeah.
So, I get there, and I'm kind of blown away. I'm kind of blown away by this whole thing. And as a preventionist, here's what I'm thinking. We say to our kids, some of us say to our kids, now listen, Johnny, I don't want you going out there and having sex. And then they have this thought in the back of their mind. They say, oh, but he might. And say, but if you do, Johnny, make sure you use protection, right? Because you ain't ready for no babies. Now, that person knows Johnny will probably go out there, even though they don't want him to. Now, let's turn this to guns. Now, Johnny, don't go out there in the street with guns. Don't have anything to do with them. But in the back of that person's mind, that mom or parents, but what if he gets with the wrong crowd? Well, if you do, right, you might tell him, run for your life. But if he's not inclined to do that, just like he still might want to have sex, right, he still might want to play with that gun. And so now, what do you say to him as far as precaution? What do you say about him about protection? You tell him to run. How many times have we heard about kids in the basement of a house passing around a firearm and then somebody gets shot? Yeah. Didn't mean to hurt that boy. Didn't mean to hurt that kid. But what would it look like if one of those kids in that group said, hey, before we do this, man, we got to make sure the chambers are, there's no bullet in these things. Let's check it, make sure there's no bullets. That would show that that kid had a knowledge of safety and how to handle a firearm. Now, the Black leaders of gun group clubs, they had their kids with them. And so I'm asking them, so how are you dealing with having guns around your kids? First of all, right, they tell their kids, if you're in a situation where guns are, get out of there. Do not stay. That's the first thing. But they're the first one to say, I'm educating my kid on what to do with the gun. Have a healthy respect for it and know how to handle it, even though you're young. We're not, it's gun safety. So as a preventionist, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, what would it look like? Or is anybody doing any kind of gun safety with young people? I would be tripping not to think the boys that I'm working with don't have guns. I even know of an incident where we were on the field and this guy wants to play. He puts his gun in the backpack. Everybody knows it's in the backpack. So do we shame him from working out? He don't feel safe going home. Yeah. Right? So it's giving me food for thought as far as prevention, Because as much as we don't want them to do X, Y, and Z, well, just in case you do, listen, this is how you safely handle a firearm. Is that wrong? I'm telling you.
Yeah, it makes you think about it. Yeah.
Yo,
Wow.
so Coach B, like, yo, we got some gems on, but I tell you on the beginning, drop some gems, man. I hope y'all listening. I hope y'all taking notes. I hope y'all really like ingesting and absorbing, very important.
You need to get real. You need to get real.
And I'll just say, like, tend to mess up with a gun if you're scared of a gun. When you have something that you're afraid, you don't know how to handle it, you're afraid of it. That's what's going to cause you the mistake. If you learn about it, if you know how to handle it, if you're not afraid of it. If you're not afraid of it, you're going to know how to handle it, and you're going to handle it correctly, and you're going to know that you shouldn't be handling it at all if you're a kid. But knowledge is definitely key. It's power in that situation. Miguel wanted to have a special segment for you, Coach B. You still want to do it, Miguel? Because
Sure.
What?
Trying to get all the
Sure.
trying to get it queued up. So if you watch the 10-7 show on Sundays, you are very familiar with this segment. But this segment is known as for the Check Swing podcast. And Miguel has prepared a Would You Rather for us.
Okay.
So just
I haven't heard it either, Coach B.
Okay.
all right. So here's the first one. Okay.
Okay.
Would you rather coach with your best friend or defeat your best friend? You're as a rival.
I'd rather coach with my best friend.
Yeah, I'd rather coach with my best friend. I feel like you should have put a little more on that one.
Yeah, I'd rather coach with my best friend. Definitely. Because we'd be winners.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather coach with your best friend or beat your rival?
Oh.
Beat my rival.
Okay.
Coach Santa, come on.
It was a softball. Okay. All right. So would you rather coach against highly skilled players or the most intelligent players?
Intelligent, for sure. For sure. And I'm going to say this. I liken football to chess.
Okay.
And if a kid, and this is how I feel about this, I liken football to chess. And if you lose the game, coach, it's because you were outcoached. Sometimes it has something to do with the kids that's talented, right? But if you knew your team and their level of talent, you wouldn't put them in a position where their lack of talent shows. Okay. And so it's about chess.
She sounds like she was a fan of the Eagles last season.
I'm a fan always. I bleed green.
She took us back to the Andy Reid days of, I got to put my guys in better position.
Lord.
It's just
I didn't answer that one, Miguel. I'm sorry. I don't want to hold y'all up. But that's an interesting one because highly skilled players don't always make the right decision.
They don't.
Right.
They cocky sometimes.
They coach against. I want to coach. I always want to play against the best, right? So what does that mean? Are they the best skilled or the best?
Oh, we lost his sound.
Oh, you lost. You got me back.
Yeah, we got you back.
Yeah. I got to stop moving away from the microphone. Hold on.
Yeah.
So I'm. You can have it all here, but not have the skill. So it's almost like I want to coach against the best because I want to beat the best.
That's right. You do.
Whichever one of those is the best.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
It's like the athlete jumping over the bridge, but then the intelligent one builds the bridge for everybody else to get over.
Right.
That's what it's like.
Because not everybody's gonna jump and make the bridge.
Not everybody's gonna jump and make it. We need somebody.
That's the best analogy I've heard all week. Wow. All right. You want to do one more?
Yeah, one more.
Would you rather coach on Thanksgiving or New Year's Day?
New Year's Day.
New Year's Day.
Really?
You ain't nothing to do on that day.
What'd you say, Coach B?
It's boring. There's nothing to do on that day.
Yeah,
Everything happened the night before.
yeah, everything's the night before.
There's nothing going on the next day.
And I don't even really care to do any parties on New Year's Eve anymore. So I'm fresh. I'm not hungover or anything like that.
Yeah,
I'm
New
fresh.
Year's Day because there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do.
I want to be lazy and go eat.
That's right. And then you want to eat and sleep type thing, you know.
Gotcha.
Coach Ryan Hunter, head coach of DCC Phantom, said he would rather coach on New Year's Day.
Okay.
That's right. Oh, I know that girl. New Year's Day.
That Ava Peterson,
I know that girl. That's my
Yeah.
daughter.
coach on New Year's Day.
Beautiful.
What now, Coach Sanders? What about you? Because it seems like you would rather coach on Thanksgiving.
You know what it is, because I went to Northeast High School, and Northeast High School had has America's longest rivalry with Central.
Had.
I
It's no
know.
longer going to be happening.
I know.
They decided.
It's so depressing because
Yeah.
over 100. Oh, they played over 100 years. They played in 4 consecutive years of those. In that, I played from 94 to 97.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In that rivalry, and we were 1-3. But
Boone. Stop, Coach Ryan.
Coach Ryan, what high school did you go to? If you're confident in publicly saying it.
I know what high school he went to.
Shade.
What school did he go to?
Did he say? He probably won't.
He went to Howard High School in Wilmington.
Oh.
Howard Tech, or he went to Howard High School.
So he said he'll tell people, "Oh, I went to Howard." Yeah, okay, I see where he goes with that. Okay, I got you.
He went to Howard. Oh, here you go. He says
Illustrious.
Howard High School.
Wow. But he didn't play in the nation's longest high school rivalry.
Yeah,
but
something to be said for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because we used to play. All of our games always started at 10:30 in the morning. We were usually done by 12, and then we would go home and have our thing. So I think for me it was more like the tradition of the Thanksgiving Day game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I would still have the next day to do absolutely nothing and recover. But New Year's Day, I can see where y'all are coming from, but I kind of lean slightly towards things.
Boring.
I got you.
So here's the thing, though. Like on Thanksgiving, even though Thanksgiving is all about football, that means I gotta wake up early, do something important, and use my brain for a few hours. Which do it anyway, but I don't want to do that on Thanksgiving anymore. I don't.
Well, but if you're as a coach, I guess that would make sense. I hated 8 a.m. games coaching. I still hate 8 a.m. games. So yeah, I feel you on that one. Okay,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Especially if you got to drive 2 hours away. You get up at 4 or 5 o'clock. Anyway, I mean,
all right, we get the point.
Getting lost because you thought you knew where you were going. No.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Coach V.
Coach V.
We're going to wrap the show up today, but I want to give you the floor to have any last words before we close the show out.
Well, I just thank you, first of all, for having me back on. I'm excited about a lot of things that we're trying to do for coaches, for the benefit of coaches, to support coaches. I was just speaking at AYF, to some coaches there and cheerleading coaches and everybody. And, I let them know, like, I am an avid supporter of coaches. As a matter of fact, another thing I did recently was I chose a coach to go and sponsored a date for him and his wife. I chose a coach and I told them, drum roll, please. The coach that I've chosen to sponsor or pay for dinner for him and his significant other is Coach Jordan from MLK. And he and his wife, they're going out compliments of ODAP to have just a night out together. I mean, I believe in supporting our coaches, but I also believe in calling them out when they're inappropriate toward our kids. And so, yeah, I want to make sure that everybody know I'm, 2 and 3. 2, call them to the carpet. 3, my husband's walking in. I'm on a Zoom. That's the husband.
Oh, how you doing?
Hi, husband. You're famous.
Coach, thank you, Coach B, for being a blessing not only to the coaching community but to our community as a whole.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
I told Coach Ryan Hunter all about you. So
Yeah, that's the Coach Hunter from the illustrious Howard High School.
That's right. That's right. I really thank you so much for having me on. And I will say again to all the coaches that are out there, you're doing a great job. You're helping a lot of kids, and I'm proud of you for doing so. And I look to support you any way that we can. ODAP. Now, this is how you contact us. We're on Instagram, ODAAPINC on Instagram. Follow us. See the great things that we're doing for the coaches and the kids.
have it. There you have it. Thank you so much, Coach B. Once again, Danielle Campbell says, "Great job, Coach B."
Danielle, she is one of the Black Gun Club leaders that brought me out to Miami, Florida. She was one of the ones, she was the main one that brought me out there.
Awesome.
And she's doing great work in Miami. Great work.
Is she licensed to carry so she can be the one that'll be your for them little league parents?
No. Hey, she's all that. She's all that in a bag of chips. Black girls with guns. I love the whole thing. That's Tiffany though, but Danielle's the best. That's 2A forward. Danielle is 2A forward. Yeah.
Yo, you have it. All right. Look, we're going to get out of here. Thank you again, once again, Coach B, for being with us and blessing us with your presence and dropping all them gems you dropped on us for last hour. Didn't even realize what time it was.
I know.
But
Wow.
It was a great time. Always enjoy seeing you, Coach B. And
Same.
we are blessed to have you. So
Thank you so much.
Oh, hold on. Danielle's licensed.
Of course she's licensed.
definitely like
Of course she is definitely licensed.
All
You don't
right.
know the half of it. You don't know the half of
I
it.
love it.
License to carry lots.
2A
Look,
and
and
glitter.
glitter and gunpowder. Oh yeah.
Yo, I got to look it up now.
You gotta look it up. You gotta look it up.
Follow on New Twist Radio. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. Everybody here, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you enjoy our content. And go catch Coach B's last appearance on the Check Swing podcast. This is her second time. She is tied for the most appearances on here with Coach Mo Boykin. So we got to see what happens. You got to see what happens next.
She can have it. I defer to her anytime. She's the bomb.
Well, she has a little one now, so
That's right. All right, guys. It was good talking to you all.
Thank you. Coach B. We're gonna get out of here. We appreciate you. We'll talk to y'all next time here on the Check Swing podcast. Peace out, y'all.
Peace out.
Dude.